ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Now Selling, the Ray White podcast, brought to you today by myself, Chip McKay. I'm without our co-host, Ryan Baker, who is unfortunately, he's left us. He's left us to go to something more important, apparently a wedding. So we'll make
How dare he?
I know. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Without a doubt, this is one of the most exciting episodes we've had yet. We have a guest today that, in the scheme of things, needs no introduction. But guess what? We're going to the big book of introductions. Ladies and gentlemen, come on a little journey with me. She is not only a great friend to me and a wonderful human being, but a multi-award-winning real estate agent. With her time here at Ray White Kemeys Brothers, she has been a 3-time premier performer, most notably hitting that status in the 2022-23 season. But most importantly above that, an elite status performer, which puts her, ladies and gentlemen, in the top 3% of real estate agents in Australasia. Oh, it gets better, ladies and gentlemen. She has sold, and I actually had to double check this today because she has sold $171.8 million worth of real estate. That equates to 200 homes sold. And in doing so, has made herself in the industry, without a doubt, one of the most spectacular agents, bar none. She is a fantastic mother, a family woman before businesswoman through and through. And she is so rightly dubbed, given her UK background, or English background, I should say, the Queen of Eastbourne. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Annette Sliper. How are you going?
I'm going very well. Thank you, Chip.
That was
a lovely introduction. I had no idea how much property I sold.
Well, there you go. This is what I'm saying. So thank you to Rebecca who printed this off for me.
Well, thankfully for Rebecca for helping us with that one.
$171.8 million worth of real estate. Now, we're not just talking a couple of tin cans down the road here. First and foremost, I want to thank you so much because I know how busy you are. I know that you are running a business, you're running a family. I want to get into that later on. Can we start though? Because
Yes.
I see here in your profile, and I love this. After running a successful jewellery business, Annette relocated from bustling London with her Eastbourne and bred husband and 2 children in 2009. Let's go before 2009. I want to find out about what was happening. Where did you come from? How did you land here in the hub? Go.
So I have always lived in central London.
Cool.
It's southwest London. And
Now, for people that know London, okay.
Yes, that's quite good. Okay,
You've got to remember, okay. Let's go suburbs. Like, what would it be? Like, what was the suburb you grew up?
I grew up in Kingston upon Thames in Surrey.
There you go.
So that's where I went to school.
That's where you went to school?
Yes, where I went to school. And then my parents divorced, and then I moved to New Malden, which was quite like, oh God, we're going to, New Malden. But then I moved to Putney, and that's part of London when I could branch out and live on my own.
Got you.
So that was really good. And what brought me to New Zealand was, or what I was doing, I was running a business in London, which was very successful.
What was the business?
The business was called Kaleido.
Okay.
And I was the owner operator of, it was a jewellery company, which started off as market stalls. And then we branched out to opening up shops, and we ended up having 5 central London shops, retail shops.
This is in the heart of London.
Yeah. So we had shops in Surrey, so it was Kingston upon Thames, Richmond upon Thames, Covent Garden, and in Carnaby Street, and in Camden Lock Market.
And all of that started from your market stalls.
Market
so
stalls.
You started selling some jewellery at the markets, Friday night markets, Saturday night markets, and then now you've grown it into 5 stores in central London.
So I started.
How old were you this time, sorry?
I was about 20.
Oh, so you're a go-getter. Fantastic.
So and it was a good time to start market stalls because it was before Sunday trading was normal in London.
Okay.
And so Sunday was considered like a holiday day, which it should be, to be honest. But then that switched to you were allowed to trade on a Sunday. But we were trading, markets were operating, and so markets were bustling, and they were amazing. They were full of life and people wanting to shop on those days.
Yeah.
And retail shops were closed, so markets were very successful.
So okay, cool. So what I understand is Sunday, holy day, we shut down the actual retail stores and all the other stuff. And you're English, obviously, with the that. Is there something about the pubs can't open on a Sunday? Or was there something about that as well?
Yeah, they couldn't open on a Sunday as well. And then I think that law came in and that changed, and then it ended up being like all day. They changed the licensing laws where it could end up being all day drinking as well.
Oh,
but initially, you weren't allowed.
So there you go. So you've set a gap in the market stores. Let's sell a product there. They're allowed to be open on Sunday. We're going to be able to go down there, get people. And then how do you go from that to opening 5 stores in central London? I'm really intrigued.
Yeah, so that was quite risky, but it worked out. But so we opened up initially. We had stores in Camden Market. Then we opened up a little shop. That was our first shop, which we then spread into a series of 3 shops in one. We knocked the walls down and made one shop out of 3 units.
Cool.
And then from there we opened up shops in Surrey outside. So it was Kingston upon Thames, and that was our flagship store. That was a 3-story building where we had offices. The shop floor was on the ground floor.
Yeah.
Middle floor were the workshops where we would design and manufacture the jewellery, and then the top floors were the offices where I would work and operate from. And then we opened up Richmond, and then we went to Covent Garden, and then we went to Carnaby Street.
So when you've done all this, how many staff have you got?
I had a maximum of about 25 staff.
Wow.
When we had five shops we were operating.
Yeah, fantastic. And talk to me about the jewelry. So what kind of jewelry was it? Are you designing it yourself, or did you have designers? Or
we designed it ourselves. Yep. We designed everything ourselves. We didn't buy it in. So it was I had a business partner at the time, and he was the main designer, and we would design, make prototypes, and then manufacture the jewelry in Mexico.
Oh my gosh! So, and in terms of like getting the materials, so are you sourcing the gold and the things that you sell them and the minerals?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we would buy, and then we had our workshops in London where we would make the prototypes, and also do repairs and do size changes and even manufacture in the London. We had a team of about 5 silversmiths. And so it was predominantly silver we were making. Yeah. And then towards the end of my time in that business, we did branch out into platinum and golds and things like that. But when you start entering into using different metals, you broaden your horizon so much because you cannot mix the metal compounds with, like platinum. You have to keep that away from silver and everything else, because or else you contaminate the metal. So you end up having a much bigger workshop space. But then I would go to all over the place. My business partner would go to India and places like that to buy the gemstones. But then I would go to New York and buy the gemstones and bring them back, and then we would take them to Mexico and then manufacture the jewelry from there.
So you're jet setting around. You're running 5 stores, 25 staff, and sounds to me like this incredibly successful jewelry operation, not just a store, it's an operation, a business. You're probably having the time of your life, I imagine, as well, while you're doing.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. It was fun. It was hard work.
Yeah.
But I'm not shy of that. But it was fun. And the guys who I worked with, we all worked together as a team. I'm still such good friends with them. I talk to them regularly on sort of, Instagram and what have you. And it was great. It was great. It was a family business. It was, and we ran it as a family. And
love that.
It was great.
And that's probably why and we're going to talk about family business and things later on, but I can see where you're going with that. So, okay. So here you are. Here's young Annette, jet setting around, selling jewelry, having the time of her life within this family business that she's grown, that she's built up. How do you go from that to moving to the hut? Because you can see the correlation here, right? You've just painted this beautiful picture.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I love the hut. We're not that's a bad place, but there's got to be a story there. So how do you get to the hut from from being in Central London?
Yeah, so that was interesting. So I went on a holiday
As you do.
to New Zealand on my own, and I was traveling for a couple of months on my own, and I happened to meet this rough guide he was my holiday trophy. Anyway, in fact, on Monday, it's our 24th wedding anniversary.
Well,
So, yeah.
So we're talking what, 25, 26 years ago?
Yeah, 26 years ago. 26 years ago.
And can you just repeat what you called it?
My holiday trophy.
Your holiday trophy.
So he was raised in a hut in Days Bay. And so what he used to do would bring me to New Zealand in February when the weather was absolutely primo.
Just like we are now.
Just like now.
Perfect.
Absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
And I would stay in his mum and dad's beautiful home.
Yeah.
And obviously it was hot. It was amazing. Everyone was on holiday. And I thought that New Zealand was like Wellington, had weather like that all the time.
So you were sold on.
I was conned.
Wellington on a good day.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a false pretense.
Yeah.
Like 3 of them a year. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I would come here on holiday for like a month. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Stay with Mark's parents. And then we would jump between their home in Days Bay and their home in Kiritau.
For sure.
And it was so magical, so much fun. And I thought, yeah, I could live this life.
Mm-hmm.
So I moved here.
So you come over from a holiday, you meet your holiday trophy, you hang out with him. Is that what or did you go back? And was he in London as well? Or?
No, no, he was here. He lived in Queenstown, and he was a rough guide.
Yeah.
So in the summer he was a rough guide, and in the winter he was a ski instructor. And so of course there I am running a business in the UK, and I meet this guy, and it's like, how on earth is this going to work out? But I knew within like a day of meeting him, I knew I was going to marry him.
So you knew straight away. So
I knew straight away.
Love at first sight.
Oh no, not exactly. He was quite obnoxious and rude, and so I was like, he's my cup of tea.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. To use a very English phrase.
Yeah.
So you go back, and then okay, and so were you doing a long distance thing? Or?
Yes, we did. So I came over for a month and hang out with him, and I knew there was something nice going on. And I had to go back to the UK, just go back to work and my life. So we rang each other. In those days, there were no mobile phones, so it was landlines.
Yeah.
So
telephone bill.
Yeah, massive. It was massive. It was like £1,000.
Yeah, you're like, mate.
Yeah.
You're like, I've got to buy some platinum and some gold. I've got to go to Mexico.
Yeah. It was amazing. So we had lengthy calls every day.
Sweet.
So and then I ended up coming back. For a month just to meet, and I ended up hanging out just to make sure it was worthwhile. Like, is this real or is this not real? Anyway, I came back and I met his family, and came back, and it was his mum's 50th. So I ended up meeting a whole group of people. Yeah, I was in the party. Yeah.
Well, this is a net.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I know that was that was embarrassing. And then we stayed and then I knew from then he was going to the next time I saw him, he moved to London.
Excellent. So okay. So he moved to London
to be with me.
To be with you.
Yeah.
The plot thickens.
He did say he was coming on an OE anyway, but I think it might have helped that I was around there.
Okay. So this is your mid-20s?
I was 26 when I met him, so 27 when he came over.
So he comes over, you're still running the business. At what point then after that did you guys decide to come back to New Zealand?
It was 13 years.
There you go. Wow, really? So 13 years
he was
later.
in London with me for 13 years.
So he was like, oh, this girl, because you go up and move your life.
Yeah.
Thinking, maybe a couple of years, we'll see how.
Yeah.
13 years.
Yeah, but we had to.
Still have the jewelry business?
Yeah, the whole time. And then Mark got involved with the jewelry business as well. And then he ended up doing all the accounts and sort of running the business and doing the financials in it.
Gotcha.
Which was good.
So from 20 to 39,
so from 27 to 34 when I moved here.
Gotcha.
I was with Mark in London.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you've obviously established, you haven't had your boys.
No. We had the children after 7 years of being married.
So you're over there. You've obviously you're killing it. You've got this business. Life's going well. London. Why New Zealand? What happened?
I didn't want to. Well, I had one son Then I had another baby boy. And I just did not want to raise my children in London.
Because you've got this infatuation. You've come and seen
Yeah, I know.
London on a good day.
Exactly.
You can be like, oh, this is my husband.
Yeah. We got married within 2 years of him moving over because, well, we had a bit of an immigration issue, so we had to get married.
Well, there you go. Well, the best way to solve that problem.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've obviously, so you're thinking about children and raising them, and the decision is mutual?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, when I said to him, because it was my decision to move to New Zealand, he would never have asked me to leave the UK. And it was just the timing was right. And I had just sort of came to that point where I was like, yes, no, it's time to move. Yeah. And well, within a week of mentioning it, the flights were booked and the house was on the market.
And you're ready to go.
Ready to go.
So then you get so did you sell the business? How did you distribute the business?
Well, my business partner bought us out.
Cool.
Yeah,
so
that was
that. Then you get on the plane, you sell everything up or put the house on the market.
Yeah, it couldn't sell because it was the start of the GFC.
Oh, fantastic.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So we got some amazing tenants. So they rented our house and they were lovely girls. So, and they rented our house the entire time.
And your house is still in central London?
Yeah, it was in Southfield. So we had a nice house in there. And they rented it and looked after it for us. And it sold after a few years. Yeah. Because the housing market was, on a complete free-falling landslide.
Oh, we all remember the
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, there's some that remember it very well.
Yeah.
And then, were you always going to go to Eastbourne, or was it we'll just get and find our feet, or like how did that all work out?
No, we were always going to go to Eastbourne.
Gotcha.
Always. So we knew that we had an opportunity where we could actually live in Mark's mum and dad's house for a few months, and they had friends across the street who were doing a sabbatical in another country. They're university professors, so they were doing something fancy somewhere else. And so we had two empty premier homes. So we had their house, and they moved to the neighbour's house, which was great.
So you got a lucky little break there.
We had a lucky break because it would have been challenging financially to have been able to do that unless we had their help.
Of course, which is always
good.
A lucky break.
Yeah,
you've got to have those every now and again. So now you're here. You're back in New Zealand. Are the boys done more?
Oh yeah. So
before we talk me back to boys, because I know how much you love your boys. I'm going to get into that, but you've got two boys.
Mm-hmm. Ollie and Oscar.
And ages?
Ollie is just turning 18 and Oscar has just turned 16.
Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So you've got these two boys. How old were they when you moved?
Ollie was just before he was 3, so he was 2 years and 8 months, and Oscar was 9 months.
So you've got two boys basically under 3.
Yeah.
You've just moved halfway across the world.
Yeah.
You're now in Eastbourne, which you know a little bit about. What the hell do you do next?
Well, the first thing I did was I was a vegetarian. First thing I actually did was change my eating habits because I was in a country I didn't understand.
Were you a vegetarian?
I was a vegetarian.
Sorry, I shouldn't say that.
I was a vegetarian for 17 years.
You were a vegetarian for 17 years.
Yeah.
Very strict.
Very strict.
You moved to New Zealand.
And I didn't understand
eat some lamb.
I didn't understand the supermarkets. And I had an eating husband, a toddler, a baby, and a vegetarian. I didn't think I was going to cope.
You're like, I need some red meat.
Yeah. So, I felt the farming was better here, so I started eating meat again. It's the first thing I did.
So that's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Giving you some iron, some protein, some energy.
Something,
to look after
to sustain myself.
Now, what about work though? What were you doing?
So we came here and we took about 6 months off just to, find our feet. And then we purchased an ongoing business. Yep. So it was already established. It was Kinetic Design, a furniture store in Thornton Quay. It was very modern, contemporary furniture. So it was completely what we loved.
Yeah.
And it was retail, which we only knew.
You knew, yeah.
I've been working in retail since I've been 14 years old.
There you go. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I had to start working early. So I started working at 14. So I had to do something retail or selling based because that's just the only thing I know.
Yeah, of course. So now you've got a furniture store, two boys. You're eating meat again. The first time in a long time, which is fantastic. How do you go from that into real estate? What was the transition?
The transition was quite interesting because running a retail business in New Zealand was. Look, it was very successful in one respect because we were taking very good money there, However, we were robbing Peter to pay Paul.
I love that.
And
I love that phrase.
chasing
I've
our
never heard
tail.
that phrase.
Yeah.
Some people don't know that phrase.
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean by it?
We were not making enough money to make ends meet.
There you go.
And so while we were taking very good money each week,
Yes.
we ended up never being able to keep up with the costs of a very expensive store, very expensive warehouse, the stock, and also the cost of getting stock to the New Zealand. So when I hear like people moaning about retail and how expensive it is to buy stuff in shops,
Yeah.
people don't realize that it actually costs thousands of dollars to bring a container over. And so you try and add like 7,000 to 10,000 on top of the cost of actually purchasing the items, they have to charge a lot.
And people also forget about the margins. Like
Yeah.
they think, oh, they're making thousands and thousands of dollars. They might be making a few $100s.
Yeah, it was literally like that. And so, and then you have other very prominent firms who have multi shops. We only had one shop here, multiple shops, and so therefore they have far greater buying power, and they can drive the price down because they buy such quantity. Which fair enough, they're buying such quantity. And then sometimes we would find like, oh, we want some chairs. Love those chairs. Oh, well, if you want those chairs, you can't buy like 40 chairs. You have to buy a container full.
You've got to get a whole container.
And so we could just never compete with that.
So retail, which has obviously been your entire journey through business.
Yes.
From 14 years of age up to here. It's everything you know. And from just talking to you now, it's set a standard of your business, ethos and experience.
Yeah.
Like,
we knew what we were doing, but it was just the climate, the financial climate, and it was just so hard.
Yeah.
And people weren't buying they were not buying furniture.
Last year's recession was brutal.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was brutal. And I remember, although we were getting through everything, but there's nothing like a little bit of hardship that makes you change your way of thinking.
I love it.
And Mark and I both, because we wanted to look after our children ourselves, and we didn't want childcare.
Yeah.
And so we both ran the company, and we both worked in the company, and we both looked after our children. So therefore, we only had one income source, which I wouldn't recommend anyone does, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that probably nailed us financially.
Yeah.
But we didn't lose our marriage. We didn't lose our home. It came awfully close. But I knew I had to change my outlook on life, and I had to change my career. Yeah. Because we just simply weren't surviving, and I didn't know how we were ever going to retire.
For sure. Yeah.
So I had to get a different income source. And I was out with some friends one night, and I remember thinking, oh gosh, I can't. And I remember thinking about the business, and I knew our leases. I was always sort of fanatical about our leases, and we had a 6-year lease. And I was in my 40s, and I remember going, I can't wait until I turn 50, because our lease we're currently locked into is going to expire, and we can get out of this shop. Yeah. And I thought, what on earth am I doing? What on earth am I doing? I need another job. Yeah. This is ridiculous. Yeah. And I didn't really know what I was going to do, but I was looking for other things. I was thinking about going into home staging.
Okay.
I rang up another very prominent real estate agent who I actually purchased my house through.
There you go.
And I asked her advice. I said, would you use who do you use for home staging? Because I've got all the contacts for furniture. I wanted to become a home stager because I thought it's another income source. And she said, well, I will only use Tickety-Boo. I would never use anyone else. Yeah. Anyway, so I thought, okay, well, that's no good. I can't do home staging because someone who I know and, Anyway, I'm now her probably main competitor. So that's interesting.
You're kidding, really?
Yeah, she's still in the industry.
You're kidding, really?
But now I'm in real estate. Well, I'm now her main competitor. So I thought that shot you in the foot, didn't it?
Yeah. Should have been like, oh, yeah, I'll definitely use your phone.
Yeah, exactly. I would have started a home staging company. It's amazing how a flippant company makes you change your thought pattern.
Deconstructing that, the great thing about that is so many people look at successful people and they just go, oh, well, it's just, that was just easy. That just happened.
Yeah, it's not easy.
And it's not. And here you are saying you went from running a very successful jewelry business.
Yeah, very successful.
You've moved your entire family to come into the Gracelands.
Yeah.
The Hutt Valley. Then you've gone and off the back of your success had some confidence and probably thought, hey, let's go and back into retail, do this business. It hasn't worked out.
Yeah.
It's given you challenges financially, I'm sure emotionally, I'm sure personally.
It was so struggling. We were in struggle street.
And so many people would have admitted defeat and gone, right, let's do this, do whatever we have to do, let's get out of this. But you didn't.
No,
Somehow you didn't.
you can't admit, you cannot feel sorry for yourself. You've just got to go, okay, this hasn't worked out and we're in copious amounts of debt. Don't know how we're going to get through the next month. We were in financial dire straits acutely. And so I knew I had to get another form of income.
For sure.
So when I realized that home staging wasn't going to work, which it was only like it was dismissed within one phone call.
I thought you'd be a great stager. I would have picked you to be a stager. I'm glad you didn't go staging.
Yeah. I would have been a terrible home stager. Now I work with amazing home stagers. I need a stager to come into my house. They have the ability. I don't.
Yeah. But you've got good grades. But I'm glad that you didn't become a home stager. I'm glad that you went into this industry. So you needed another source of income, another job.
Yeah, and a friend of mine happened to, amazing woman, very influential barrister, was at my house and she said, you know what, you should go into real estate. I was like, really? Didn't even think about real estate. So the next week I signed up and I got my real estate 2 big boxes of papers to achieve.
Of course.
And
so that was it. So someone just said, you'd be great at real estate, and then you
didn't
decided,
even,
you know what? I'll go do that.
It didn't even cross my mind to do it.
Kidding.
And it was, my friend, Jude Beard.
There you go. Shout out to Jude.
It was Jude who actually was the first person to put it in my head.
Well, look at that.
And then
hopefully Jude sees this and she understands that the Kemeys family, we seriously thank you. That was great.
It was her who gave me the idea. And so then I quickly did the papers. I did my papers within 12 weeks.
Yes.
Because I was desperate to get working.
I
was in my shop, in a freezing cold shop with a concrete floor, thinking, oh God, I'm not selling enough furniture. And there's nothing like that feeling to make you work harder, to smash out your papers, to get your qualifications, to just get working. And I couldn't wait to start working.
So the motivation for you at that time is, like, I'm under so much pressure on this side.
I had to.
Financially, family, I
have to succeed because there was nothing else I could fall back on.
And there's such a commonality with that as well when you look at, again, successful people. And there is a moment in the majority of their lives where they go, no, Chip, it wasn't a I want to, it's a I have to.
I had to.
Need to go and do this.
Yeah.
Because the other side of this is dire straits, so to speak.
Yeah.
So then you do your papers, you get qualified, and then you start. And we won't mention where you started.
I
started in your first real estate job
with a different agency.
Yeah.
And I did very well in the agency.
So this is why, and we're at a great point in the podcast now, because we've set up basically. We've set the foundation for which this next story, and it's a hell of a story that you've got. We set the foundation for what the next part of the story is. So here I am, from my perspective, Ray White, we're about 4 years in, just had started this. And all I start hearing is about this Annette, right? And I'm keeping my ear to the ground as a good, business person does. And I'm like, where the fuck did this shit come from? Like, you just came out the gate like running.
Well, I had to run. I was broke.
Well, now we know why. At the time I was like, why? And she's like, well, fuck, I've got to pay for a warehouse and bills and stock.
Because we still had a furniture store then. Yeah.
So outside of that, talk me through the process. Like, how did you get listings? How did you prospect? How did you get into a position from going from a newbie to the industry, which so many people find so hard, especially in our industry, to catapulting so quick to be, to where you were?
So I got my first listing after 6 weeks of being a licensee agent.
Yeah.
And I was in Foursquare in Eastbourne. I love Foursquare in Eastbourne. I am there every day. Love the village. So I got chatting to a lovely lady and I sort of became friends with her.
Yeah.
And then in the Foursquare. Didn't know her from a bar of soap. Yeah. Didn't even know where her house was. Yeah. And then I was saying to her, she asked me, do I work and things? I said, yes, I work. I sell real estate.
What do you do? I'm a real estate agent.
Yeah.
6
Just like
that.
Boom. Anyway, before I knew it, she asked me to sell her house for her. And so within 6 weeks, I got my first listing, and I've never
Where
been.
was it? Can you remember where it was?
Yes, it was. I think it was Miratai Road.
Yeah.
I think it was 82 Miratai Road. I think.
82 Miratai.
I think.
Yeah.
That could be wrong.
That's okay. Fact check.
That could be
If
wrong.
it's wrong, we'll just edit it out.
Yeah. Their first listing was on Miratai Road.
Yes.
5 minutes from my house.
There you go. Wonderful.
Beautiful home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I sold it very comfortably. And then from that point, I have never been without a listing.
So this is amazing. 6 weeks in, you're at the Foursquare buying some bloody fruit and veggies and probably a bottle of Prosecco.
Absolutely.
And you run into this person, you just get chatting. So they didn't know you from a
Her name was Anne.
There you go. So Anne's there. She starts chatting to you. You're very friendly, personable, as we know. Next minute, you've got a listing. And then from there, 6 weeks in, and how long have you been in real estate now? 8 years?
9 years.
9 years. You've never gone without a listing. And
never.
They sold $170 million in real estate.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah. I when you look back like that, it's like, it does feel quite incredible. At the time, sometimes you flap in the wind and go, gosh, I'm not doing well enough. But then when you look back, you go, actually, it's not too bad.
Well, when you think about, that's your first listing. And as I said in my introduction, since then, you've sold 200 homes. 200 homes.
Yeah, I didn't realise.
From one little catch up in the
Yeah,
Foursquare.
in Foursquare.
Thank you, Anne.
Yeah.
Doing shout outs.
Love her.
To Anne. Love her. So talk to me about that. So what happened? So after that, now you're established, you've got something, got with a presence. Is it just because Eastbourne's a small community? Is it because you're involved in the community? Is it because of you and Mark? And how does it come from that?
I feel, going back to the early days, it would have been definitely Mark's influence, because he was so well known in the area.
Yeah.
Also, we were very social, and as soon as I moved to New Zealand, the first thing I did was join Play Centre.
Brilliant.
And I loved Play Centre. And I got a lot of friends from there. Not that I've ever sold anyone's houses in Play Centre. I don't think. I've sold to them. I've sold to them.
Exactly. Listening.
I think. Oh, actually, I've got one house from Play Centre.
There you go. Well, we're
Yeah.
invest.
Um,
Lifetime.
and then that also through the Eastbourne RSA, now known as the club rooms, but then it was the RSA or the Raza or Rubber Club. But we're not to call it a Rubber Club anymore, because it's, got to be all the clubs.
Yeah.
It was just being known with my in-laws. They very good people, their influence.
Yes.
They're very well known.
Yes.
I've got an odd surname, which I married. It's not my surname. I married it. And because of that, I probably stood out.
Yes. Yeah. And so it's amazing, isn't it? Because what we're talking about is community hubs. Eastbourne, Dace Bay, that region, it's one way in, one way out.
Yes.
It's a select destination. We've spoken about it before when we were talking about the office that we've got over there, Railway Kemeys Brothers office.
Yes.
But it is a very select destination. However, what you're saying is that it's a destination where you can be known. And once you're known, especially in the real estate market, I'm sure,
Yes.
people are going to gravitate towards your expertise and what you know, because that's what they do. It's what that's right.
They know me. They know my personality. They know my husband.
Yeah.
They know that I'm secure,
Yes.
not some crazy woman sometimes. Sometimes might be. And also most people who would have known me, particularly in the early days of real estate, would have known that I had a very heavy career in selling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when you've got that quite formidable reputation, that they would have remembered that, and that would have fed me well.
How much of the retail background that you've got, okay, so
Yeah.
London jewelry store, 14 years of age in retail, how much of that journey do you, or knowledge, I should say, expertise, do you bring over into the real estate industry? Is it relevant? And are there things that you learned from the retail sector that you apply in your day-to-day business?
Yes, definitely. First of all, you just never got to be unhappy with people. That's
People
one main. It's a people business. So it's, and if you're working on selling something, a couple of sofas, and people don't want to buy it, then that's okay.
Yeah.
But I think, yes, I definitely have brought the my retail learnings into real estate, but it's not about what I'm selling. I can sell anything.
Cool.
It's about how you treat people.
Yes.
So it's only about it's only about how you treat people. But also, what I didn't say earlier is that I was training to be a counsellor in the UK.
Gotcha.
And I didn't qualify. I came here to New Zealand, and I tried to qualify, but there was so many roadblocks when I turned up here to actually sort of continue the education. I tried, Bethlehem College and all sorts of college to try and get through, but it was just too difficult and it was too hard basket, and I needed to earn money by that stage. So I ended up buying the retail store. So what I do feel is that my counselling training I did have, along with retail, with years and years. I was in retail for 20 years.
Yeah.
So when you have that much experience with just dealing with people on a day-to-day basis, that how to be nice to people and how to get a deal over the line.
Well, I think, not having known you for such a long time, you've been such an integral part of our business. But as I always say, every agent is different. Everyone has their own, and especially successful agents, top tier agents like yourself, everyone has different skill sets and traits. Mine would be you're so empathetic.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean by that?
Yes, I am empathetic.
And I think that's like one of the bases to your successes is that you genuinely care about each listening, vendor, buyer.
100%.
And having that ability to be empathetic, you kind of have to say there's the reason behind your success, because as we know, people are selling their biggest asset.
It's huge.
And you can be empathetic because you've been in situations where you're saying, I've been under financial pressure. I know what it's like to have to do something drastic and move house and go across country. And I know what it's like to do everything for my kids and families. So you've got this mirror on the other side of the mirror, I should say, where you can literally look through to these people and say, I get it.
Yeah.
And now I want to go and make this better. I want to help you achieve your goal. Does that make sense?
100%. 100%. Because when I go to talk to a vendor or a buyer, I understand what they're going through. And I would say most real estate sales are very challenging, and they've got their private challenges.
Yeah.
And I get it.
Yeah.
I just get it. I've been there. I was very grateful I didn't lose my house through owning the retail store here. And I know what it feels like to be absolutely desperate. I know what that feels like. I do also have a child that has a disability.
Oh.
And so I've gone through that, and he's amazing, but it throws out some challenges, although he's, overcomes everything. But life is hard.
Yes.
Life is hard.
Yeah.
And it's amazing,
yeah.
but it's also hard.
Yeah.
And so for me, when I actually help someone on their real estate journey, whether it's because of a deceased estate or a divorce, or because they've won lotto, or they've got a new job, or their wife's just walked out on them, it's a journey.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's an important one.
And it's an emotional roller coaster. And
it's emotional.
I think this is the thing a lot of, look, hey, call a spade a spade. Real estate agents have been started right there with used car salesmen.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not doing anything to used car salesmen, all right? My father was a used car salesman. I'm a used car salesman.
I reckon I could sell cars well. Yeah.
Shall we start again?
Oh, I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered to start again. I can't reinvent myself.
But what I'm saying is that there's such a perception of what we do as a real estate agent. Oh, they're sharks and you've got to be this and aggressive. When realistically, exactly what you're talking about, we're dealing with people's emotions, their feelings, their positions in life. We're dealing with personalities on a day-to-day basis. And that's why I always say the greatest real estate agents, and I'll use you as this example, they adapt so well to the different functions you have to be a great real estate agent. One day you're a psychologist or a counselor, then you're a lawyer, then you're a builder, then you're a shoulder to cry on, or a friend, or what have you, or you're just someone that at 9:30 at night, the vendor wants to give you a call and rant to you. And you can't say, hey, mate, bugger off, I've got my stuff to do, because you're invested in their best interests.
Yeah. But
And to be able to
Yeah.
take that on, you've got to be a specific type of person.
Yeah.
And especially people try and do that. In our industry, you know that we have an 80% turnover rate, being people that get into the industry and then realize, oh,
This is hard.
nuts. These people are crazy.
Yeah.
Right? The ones that survive, the ones that run it, we are a different type of being.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you've just got to feel what people are going through.
Yeah.
And when I enter into a house sale, that's the main thing I'm thinking. I've got a goal to achieve. I know the boundaries around that goal, but it's about creating the nicest environment for the house sale to finish in. And just to give comfort to people, because I'm their problem solver.
Exactly.
And and I understand that, because I know when I was leaning on doctors heavily with my son's cerebral palsy, they were the only people who could calm me down.
Yes.
When people are going through a house sale, I appreciate that I'm the only person
Yes.
who can calm them down.
You're the expert.
Because I know what, this lady said that yesterday and what that guy said
Yes.
today. And I'm the only person who can give them the feedback they need to give them comfort. Or if they don't get the feedback they need to give them comfort, what do we need to do to change, the perspective of the sale and to achieve what they need to achieve, which is a sale.
A problem solver. And
Yeah.
that's exactly, you nailed it on the head. 90% of our job is that. We're trying to put out fires and
It's all
solve.
we're doing. It's all we're doing.
And I think you nailed it on the head using your son's example, with the doctors. And it's like you go to the expert.
Yeah.
Humans in general, we naturally think of the worst case. It's a natural thing.
Absolutely.
It's in our DNA.
We're terrified. And it does help when you're very experienced, after a few years of experience. There are so many stories and scenarios which I can pull out of the memory bank to give comfort.
Yes.
Or to give explanation as to why I feel I'm suggesting that we roll one's campaign in this direction, because I've got so many historical
Case
stories,
studies, yeah.
case studies, in which say, okay, this was successful here, this was successful here, that wasn't. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
I want to move on. Obviously, we've established, and we'll come back around. I'm going to come back around
Okay.
to real estate, but I want to talk about the fact that you are the most amazing mum. Like, you are an inspirational mum,
I hope they think that.
and I'm not just saying this because your boys might listen to this. So
Yeah.
no. Look, I know Ollie and Oscar. They've been coming through the office.
Oh gosh, yeah, they love being here.
I remember when they were this big. Now they're bigger than me. Hey, that's not hard. Small jokes. But you've gone through a lot, with both your sons. How do you balance being a mum and being a successful real estate? Like, how do you do that, and how do you do it so well?
Oh gosh, sometimes I do question myself whether I do it that well. But luckily, I've got a very good relationship with my sons, and they're awesome. They're very open with me, and I'm open with them. We have very honest dialogue. Honesty is the best policy in all strengths, and even when you've got very awkward conversations to have with your teenage sons, I just roll that out. And the reality is, I just got to keep it real, and I try and put real estate, the lid on real estate now and again, just to then focus on family time.
For sure.
I am very lucky because I've got a very supportive husband.
For sure.
And he's an amazing father.
Yeah.
So that really helps. And also, when I entered real estate, my children were, gosh, how old were they? They were
5 and 4? No,
maybe a bit older than that. I think maybe seven and 9-ish, I think. Though I'm terrible at math. So they were slightly older. So it is easier to work the hours you work when they're slightly older, because they're a little bit more independent. I worked more at home in the early days just because they needed me there. But that's the beauty of real estate. I do my best work, to be honest with you, from 7:30 in the morning.
Gotcha.
I'm in my dressing gown, and that's when I nut out how I'm going to negotiate. Yeah, no coffee. Since my rent, I've got a nice coffee machine. Yes, a nice coffee. So I have a nice coffee, and that is when I make my most integral phone calls of the day.
Gotcha.
So when I'm calling someone at 8 in the morning, I need to get something across. And people are always, it's because before work, they're They're not, the day hasn't started. They have time to talk to me.
Yeah.
Even if they're traveling to work. So every day I start work at 7:30 in the morning and I roll out absolutely integral phone calls by then. And so by 10 o'clock, I'm usually sometimes dressed, sometimes not. But then I go out into the public. But going back to the son's question, is they're very easy. They're easy children. When they were younger, they would come with me sometimes to viewings and sit in the car with their iPads or what have you. And they're very chill personalities. And now it's great because sometimes, particularly with my eldest son who's got a full driving license, if I have a really busy day, a really busy Sunday, he drives me around.
Fantastic.
So I can have a chauffeur.
Yeah.
And it's just very helpful. It's great.
So he buys in to mum's work.
Yeah.
And does these things because he's obviously got the belief factor in what it is that you're trying to achieve.
Absolutely. And I would say my youngest one, I really think he's got the makings of a real estate agent.
Really?
Yeah.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Because we are hiring.
No, he's too young. He's got to get through his university first. However, he doesn't
need university. This is a university, right?
Isn't it just? Isn't it just?
There would have been times like, have you had to sacrifice a lot of time?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
That's pretty hard.
Yeah, I have sacrificed a lot of time away from them. And yes, it is hard. It has its challengings. But then you just have to do it.
Yeah.
It is hard. It's particularly when I'm sort of cooking and then the food gets burnt because I'm in a mid-sunny, I'm on the phone and I start negotiating a deal. But as a result of that, my sons are really good cooks.
Yes.
So it helps. They are actually good cooks. They are very domesticated. They help.
Trained by necessity.
Yeah, no.
Cook.
Training because of mothers. Yeah, exactly.
I want to finish off with a couple of things. First and foremost, what do you think's happening in the market at the moment? There are going to be people that are listening to this, especially people out in Eastbourne that are thinking of listing or buying out there. You know the market so well. What should they expect in the coming months? What's happening at the moment? What advice can you give them?
I feel the market is still quite undulated. However, it has improved drastically. I would say since about from in the Eastbourne market specifically and slightly higher end houses, I would say from about November, they have started to sell. I think the lower end are selling quite freely, and then that bubbles up to the second and third home, so they pushes the prices up. So I do feel it's most certainly has improved. Yeah. From the last 18 months, because it's been 18 months of a very challenging market, extraordinarily challenging market. It's still quite undulated. Yeah. So my feeling is, if you're thinking of selling, don't risk it, because I have seen markets go boom, boom, boom up and then drop like a stone.
Like almost overnight too.
Overnight. Yes. Absolute landslide. Yes. So I would never, my advice to everyone is, if you want to buy another house and you want to sell your home, just do it. Yes. Don't procrastinate, but do not wait until you've had your new windows fitted to put your house on the market. You have to sell within the same period. You have to purchase or sell and purchase. Whatever you do, you just do it fast and you do it together. So long as you're buying and selling in the same market, just do it. Yeah. Don't hold on for next year. Don't think the market is going to drastically improve. It may do, but it may not. Exactly. It could absolutely bomb again. Yeah. So for today, I feel the market is traveling well. Homes are selling. Yes. Challenging homes are selling. People who have been on the market for 6 to 8 months, 9 months, 15 months are now selling. Yeah. So therefore, they've got money. Yeah. And money is then turning around. Therefore, they're purchasing, and it's a great point. It's a great point. Becoming very fluid. Yes. So, I feel the market has improved. Yes. It may improve a tad more, but without that crystal ball, we could never determine that. But just don't procrastinate. Yeah. Just do it. Yeah. Because it could go critically wrong again. Exactly. And it's made... This is someone that's been through things that can go wrong very quickly. Yeah. Yeah. And when I've seen people who have, tried to, refused an offer. Yes. And then, 2 months later, we're giving them another offer at 100 grand lighter. And that is the market.
Yeah.
So you've got to listen to what the buyers say. I listen to what the buyers say. Buyers know what's going on.
Yeah.
And when you have lots of buyer feedback from people who've been in the market a long time, you have to listen to what they say and listen word for word and recall that to your, recall it to the vendors, recall it to whoever needs to sell their property, purely because they are the ones that determine the price. And then once you've had 15 to 20 or 50 people go through a property, that forms a pattern.
Yeah.
And a pattern becomes very set as to where true buyers with money in their pocket who actually want to buy the house actually see value. And often I have got offers. Most homes are now selling either cash or multiple offer situations. So it is most certainly improving, but so long as the price is right.
Yes.
If the price is not right, then you might as well stay on the market for another 6 months.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to sell.
Yeah.
And that is what I see.
You sell and have sold, I should say, some of the most beautiful homes. Like we're talking very, very...
Premier homes.
Just premier homes.
Yeah.
They're always dressed immaculately, presented immaculately. For those that are out there at the moment thinking about coming to the market, what are some of your go-tos, tips, what have you? What should people do to ensure the property is presented at its best at the time of marketing to ensure they get best value for money?
I feel vendors often fixate on their things, their belongings inside the home, but not the actual home. They are not for sale.
Yes.
People worry about, I can't, I don't want to take down those photos. Well, and my family history is so lovely and all of this in the home, and you feel it, it's lovely.
Yeah,
the amount of times I've walked around a home where there's just the wife left, the family have moved abroad and the husband is deceased, and she's selling this most magnificent home. And I'm looking through photos on the wall of decades of history and love and laughter. And I'm trying to be professional and I'm fighting back the tears, trying not to be a complete Looney Tune and burst into tears and fall into her arms because I'm so sad for her life. But the reality is those things have to come off the wall.
For sure.
Just take away, don't personalize a home. It is a fabulous home, but it really is about the spaces, the light, the decluttering, the cleanliness, clean the carpets. But if it means you're going to take 6 weeks to clean the carpets, don't clean the carpets, get the house on the market because you could miss the market.
Yeah. And that's a great combination of what you were just saying before.
Yeah, and that's a contradiction, but it's a contradiction.
No, you're saying don't procrastinate.
Do not procrastinate.
At the same time, depersonalize the home because the buyer is not interested in necessarily the things and the history and the family, and that's all great. They're interested in the space, the light, the potential, the materials.
Yeah.
If that's all in good order and you're not procrastinating, but if it's going to take 12 months to get all the personal side of it done, hey, just get it on and let's just go.
Yeah, because I have seen that too.
Yeah.
I have seen people needing to, I need to do this. I need to paint that wall. I need to do this. No, don't do that. I'm advising not to do that. I've just got to do that. And they do it. And then the market has changed.
Excellent.
And then they've lost $100,000 or whatever.
It's sound advice. It's sound advice. Right. I want to bring it back into the internal, the industry itself.
Yes.
Agents. All right. You've been an agent now 9 years. You know the game. We'll finish off very quickly. Let's go with what's your favorite thing about real estate?
The chase.
Yeah.
The chase, the ups and the downs. It's a bit like gambling. I've read the downs, the losses give you the biggest hits.
Yes.
But it's the same in real estate.
Yeah.
When you're feeling gloomy, you're tripping over your lip, you've just lost a listing, you've just lost a sale, your buyer's gone and bought something else and you're gutted. That probably keeps me in there.
Yeah.
Because it keeps me fighting. It's the fight. It's the passion.
Yeah.
And it is such a passionate industry. And if you're not passionate about it, do not think you can sell real estate.
I love that. What's the worst thing about real estate?
The uncertainty. You're scared. I'm scared all the time. Scared all the time.
So anxiety.
Anxiety. And even as someone who is successful in real estate, I'm constantly anxious and I don't know what about. Yeah. It's just the fear of failing, the fear of not doing the best you can for somebody. I don't know.
Yeah.
That is the worst thing, the absolute uncertainty. Am I ever going to sell another house again? Am I ever going to get paid again? Am I ever going to achieve someone's dream again? I don't know until the next sale. And
Good.
that is the worst thing about real estate. But that is what keeps me in real estate.
Fuck.
The best in the worst.
You can't do any better. You can't finish off any better than that. Annette, this has been an absolute pleasure. We're going to do this again, by the way, because I could do this 3 times over. Thank you so much
Thank you so much. I've
enlightening us.
loved this.
on your real estate journey. I'm so glad that you did. If you're in Eastbourne, there's only one person to sell it. If you're in the hut, hey, come and see it.
I love Lower Hut too.
Yeah, we
Excuse
do.
me.
We love the hut. We love
Excuse
the hut.
me.
We love the hut. We love the hut. We love the cheese. We love it all. Hey, thank you so much. Wonderful. You have been listening to Now Selling, the Ray White podcast with myself, Chip McCabe. Ryan's on holiday. We'll see you once again soon, Annette. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chip. Miss you, Ryan. Let's do this again.